Way into the alley. Get to the car. Too many of them. Hold the cover.
Recently, I have been replaying several COD campaigns for a bigger video that I'm making. And as I've been replaying them, I noticed a bunch of things that I like and dislike about them. But there's one particular thing I want to bring up in this video. And that is the game's tendency to tell you the most obvious information. What they do is that they put big yellow markers up on the screen telling you, oh, go here to do this, go there to find that, and so on and so forth. And along with that, there's also dialogue from characters over the radio or whatever, where they're like, oh, there's this thing, or there's that enemy, or oh, you're getting shot at, take cover. Like, I'm not noticing the fact that I'm getting shot at and I need to take cover just based on the blood effects or whatever. This is of course not a new observation by any means. People have been complaining about this since forever with regards to the series. But as I was playing Black Ops 2 specifically, it made me think about how I could possibly try and improve on that, just a little bit. If there was some way for me to reduce all this shatter so I can just focus on the gameplay and just taking it at my own pace. But let me give you some more concrete examples of what I'm talking about. Here's a clip from Black Ops 1 admittedly, but again, this is applicable to basically all these games.
Nation, this way! Keep moving! Nation, this way!
So, you see what's kind of annoying about this is that they have first off the yellow follow symbol under, Moby here, who I get it, I should follow him. I'm in this exploding underwater base, it's very obvious that we have to leave. But along with that, he also tells you to follow him in 3 different ways, 3 times, in a very quick succession. Like, yes, I get it. I should follow him. You don't need to be this obvious about it. Having the yellow marker or him saying follow maybe once would have been enough, but instead there's just all this unnecessary extra just shouting at you. This second clip is from Black Ops 2, and take a listen.
We got a VTR pushing through the ruins! You need more than a rifle, Mason! RPG for the weapons cache!
We cannot let it enter the valley! Another BTR is headed this way!
So my issue with this scenario is that they don't really allow you as the player to even see most of these things. You're immediately told that yes, there's an armored vehicle there, and yes, you can't damage it with your own just standard bullets. Instead of allowing you as the player to just see it and then maybe try and shoot it, or just be able to figure out the fact that yeah, it's pretty obvious that this armored vehicle won't take damage from just this standard AK. Instead, it has just to tell you all of this. You also have the yellow marker telling you where the RPGs are, but along with that, the character also tells you this information. Like, he's not even been up there, yet he already knows that the weapons are there. How? Then there's the fact that weapons themselves aren't even RPGs, they're like stingers, but with iron sights for an RPG. But also along with the more advanced optic thing, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway. All of this has become more noticeable to me due to another game I've been playing recently, which is the System Shock remake. Because that game trusts the player to actually figure out what to do and where to go, whilst at the same time not being overly obtuse with the information provided. You will frequently listen to audio logs where a character will tell you where a necessary keycard or a important location or something similar is located. But none of this is marked out on the map or adds some sort of marker on the screen. It requires you to actually pay attention to what they're saying and in turn figure out that, well, if this character said that this thing is in this area, well, then I will try to find that area, or then I will try and go back there to, well, find the thing. The game is excellent at providing you information without making it too obvious or too difficult to figure out what to do, and it's just masterfully balanced in that way. I really recommend that game to everybody, and if you're gonna play it on PC, which I think is the best option, then you should also buy it on GOG. But back to the Call of Duty games. The trick, so to speak, that I figured out I could do in Black Ops 2 was pretty simple. What I did is that I turned down the volume for the voice acting, but also the music down to almost zero. The reason for turning down the dialogue volume should be pretty obvious. It can be incredibly annoying to have characters continually shout at you about how you need to go here and do this or shoot that guy when you're just trying to play the game in a slower and more methodical way. And if you're playing on the higher difficulties, then you might not even have any other option but to play in a slower way, and then that kind of dialogue can be incredibly annoying. The reason for turning down the music might be less obvious. What I find is that when there is this intense music playing, I feel like I have to keep moving and that I can't slow down. Of course, the music doesn't mean that I have to keep moving, it doesn't literally force me to do so, but I find that turning down the music actually makes the whole thing a little bit more enjoyable. Especially because, frankly, a lot of the music is just kinda generic anyway. So, with all that background established, let me just show you some gameplay with these little changes that I made. With all that noise removed, I find that it really highlights just how good the weapon feel in Black Ops 2 really is. The previous games were fine in that area, but I feel like it really started to take form in Black Ops 2. However, even with these minor modifications, there's still one thing you really can't get past. And that is how poorly enemies work, not just in Black Ops 2, but frankly all of these games. There are several issues with how the enemies work. Their movement has a tendency to be inconsistent and incredibly erratic. Sometimes they will spend all day sitting behind cover, being basically pop-up targets. Other times they will move but just run around in strange ways that just doesn't really make any sense without them trying to take cover. For me, the biggest problem is that it's so difficult to tell who is actually shooting at you and from where. So often in these games, it feels like you're just getting shot from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Everyone has a gun pointed at you, at the same time nobody seems to be able to hit you, or they're all hitting you. There's just no way to really tell a lot of the time, and it becomes just incredibly frustrating, especially on the higher difficulties, which are frankly in basically all of the Call of Duty games, just kind of bullshit to play. Then there's the fact that enemy health can be kind of variable. Sometimes it seems like guys will go down in just a few shots, other times you will shoot them a bunch of times and they won't die. And all of this is a consistent issue for basically all Call of Duty campaigns, even to this day. Even as the gunplay has gotten tighter and the movement has improved with every single new release, well, most of them, the consistent issue is that the enemies are just not really that much fun to fight. At their peak, they're serviceable, they work. At the worst, they're really fucking annoying and drive me crazy. Additionally, the level design has a tendency to also be very inconsistent in the Call of Duty games. But if we're gonna focus on Black Ops 2 specifically, I found that there's about 2.5 levels that I really enjoy, with the rest of them just being kinda eh. To me, the most fun levels in the game are Judgment Day and Achilles' Veil, or Veil, which, as a side note, if that name is supposed to be a pun on Achilles' heel, it doesn't really make sense, because like heel and veil doesn't rhyme. It would be like you would pronounce veil as veal, but anyway. I think these levels work the best because they have a relatively open-ended structure, open-ended for a Call of Duty game, that is. And they have prolonged sections where you can just play the game without the interruption of cutscenes or some kind of set piece. They also work well because of the fact that you can actually start playing them relatively quickly. The opening cutscenes for these levels aren't too long, which is nice when you actually want to replay a level. In comparison, I do quite like the level Karma, but that level has such a drawn out long intro that replaying it is just kinda tedious.
It's an automated system. It's triggered by your biometric ID.
I could go on, but I mainly want to focus just on Black Ops 2 in this video. And the reason that I call this the wrong way to play Black Ops 2 is that I wish the Call of Duty games would allow for a style of gameplay that is slower, more tactical and more considerate, where levels are more open-ended, though not open world, and where you have just more flexibility in how to approach your goals. Basically, my dream Call of Duty campaign would be a game where every single level is like the first level from Crysis. Call of Duty will occasionally kind of dabble in level design like that, kind of, but these are exceptions to the rule, and frankly I don't think that they are ever really going to do a game that has that sort of level design throughout. And I think that's unfortunate because there is a lot of potential here for a style of game like that that could be really pretty fun, because again, as I mentioned, the gunplay is really good, the just general movement feel is quite good as well. Yet, I feel like a lot of it is just squandered on this hyper-linear, hyper-scripted style of level design. But Call of Duty has been that way for more than a decade, so I doubt it will ever really change, but who knows? Anyway, that's all I want to say in this video, so thank you for watching.